Presentation in London. Live stream with confidence.
Warning. The following program may contain graphics and video images that some viewers may find disturbing and traumatizing. Some of this violent content may be too graphic and intense for some people. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. NuMedia TV.
This is a special announcement on our rights to the choice of royalty-free tunes in all of our videos and podcasts. It has become a common practice occurring or appearing so frequently on Facebook with claims of copyright infringement in many of our live streams and video content. Frank Bello and the team at NuMedia TV would like to state unequivocally that Frank Bello and NuMedia TV have all legal rights to use over 700 royalty-free tunes in all of our videos and live streams and have not infringed any intellectual property rights. Some other tunes that may be used in some of our videos were also fully paid for on the Movavi video editor software program and another paid-up monthly subscription on Restream.io. Proof of purchase and delivery of the over 700 royalty-free tunes can be found at Sounds Best Delivery at Shopify.com, delivered and downloaded. Date of purchase, Tuesday the 12th of January 2021. Time of purchase, 17:17 hours in London.
Get TV in London.
Ìmọ̀lógún sínú ẹ̀mí aláwẹ̀ mọ́. Oko ìrírí wọn lóhùn ìrírí wọn lóhùn. Wá.
Yes, hi, good evening, guys. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Yes, good evening once again. Yes, this is my very first stream in the year 2024. Today is Thursday, just as you can see there. Thursday, the 4th day of January 2024. Yes, the last time I spoke to you was the New Year's Eve. You're welcome to New Year. I wish you Happy New Year, although I wished you earlier on before we crossed everything over the last time. Yes, 2024. My name is Frank Bello and I'm your host in London from NuMedia TV, live streaming. Good morning, good evening, good night from wherever you're watching the live stream from the surface of this planet. Yes, we are back again, and my first show in this new year, it's not going to be very easy. I promise you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be ruthless. Because I fear no man but God. We want to talk about #Nigeria case study. Nigeria is worth to study in the science as a case. It is worth studying Nigeria. But before we go into the nitty-gritty of the case study that we're about to go into regarding the Nigerian political system, I'm going to highlight two distinctive story headlines for you. These two cases touched my heart when they came into my possession. I'm not going to lie to you. Really touched my heart. The #Nigeria case study. I intend to actually take you through some of my modules in communications studies. Some of you will remember some time ago I outlined a module in communications science to you. The Shannon and Weaver's model of communication between an encoder, information sent from an encoder to a decoder, and in between the line of communications there is something we call noise distortion, to which the information that was transmitted by the encoder to the decoder was not properly received, and as such, you will be prone to distortion. The model I want to talk about tonight in relations to hashtag Nigeria case study is paradigm shift. I have to talk to you about ideological subversion and how the individual government, your individual government, can use ideological subversion in destroying your educational system, because it takes 10 to 15 years to train a new generation. So in paradigm shift, when we subsequently get into paradigm shift, I'm sorry to have to tell some of you, my stream is a little bit intellectual, a little bit. And the reasons why it's a little bit intellectual is because I like to buttress my argument. So within paradigm shift, we're going to explore Nigeria a little bit further. And we explore Nigeria a little bit further, I'm going to take you back memory lane. So on a serious note, I'm going to take you back memory lane. And when I take you back memory lane, I'm going to extract and I'm going to show you physically the regional formation of Nigeria from 1954 to 1966. But then you may ask me, what are my motives for taking you down that? The reasons why I want to take you down that road will be made as we cross that borderline. I'm not going to hide my feelings from all of you. I'm a very, very proud. I repeat, and I'll continue to repeat and say that time after time. Frank Olufela Olusegun Alani Bello is a very, very conservative Yoruba man, and I love my Yoruba race. But then you may ask me, what am I really talking about? I want to bring out into the open for some of you that are not knowledgeable enough and you're not really bothered to dig into issues, to uproot facts and then dissect each and every tiny bits of information from your research. Regional formation of Nigeria 1954 to 1966. What were the problems? What were the problems? I'm going to dig into that from that period in time. Can you imagine? 1954 to 1966. The regional formation. I'm going to show you in graphics, and I'm going to tell you exactly what went wrong. To date, 2023, make no mistakes. 1954 to 2024, I beg your pardon, with 2023. 1954 to 2024, 70 years on. We're going to look into that. It's not going to be easy. Along the line, I will begin to show you some materials that came into my possession. I just don't talk and I don't stream at the very top of my head. I stream and I confront powers that be with facts. In fact, this bothers me that I have never been sued to any court of law in the United Kingdom by all those rogues, monsters, those ruthless powers that be in location 9 called Nigeria. None of them are they to actually take me to court. They're scared. Even Jonathan was unable to do it. Dr. Dalhatu Tafida, our High Commissioner under Umaru Yaradua and Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, they were unable to do it. Shola Enikonlaye, Dr. Dalhatu Saraki Tafida's special assistant. You see, I'm mentioning names. Even called me a traitor. I'm mentioning names. You see, those that called me traitor, then I'm pretty sure they can now see exactly what I was able to see that they were unable to see at the time. But because of my closeness to General Ibrahim Babangida, they were all shitting in their pants. And I mean it. There are some things I can say in public, and there are some things that were they're just too heavy for my mouth to open my mouth and then talk about them. There are some things that are in my possession. Trust me, I will die with those information in my stomach, because I will never say anything about them, but I can always, some of them are penned down. Some of the recordings, some of the evidences, I've got them. That is the way it works. You see, Nigeria, a case study in 2024. Too sad information got into my domain. And I looked at the nation called Nigeria. My stomach was upset. I'm not going to lie to you. Let me take the two stories that I have for you before we go into paradigm shift. The very first case, you see, let me start it this way. Ordinary, common Nigerians who perhaps they bribed their ways, or they've been bribed by politicians through maybe 1,000 naira, maximum 5,000 naira inducement during an election cycle. Tend to forget that the money they receive from politicians giving them those handouts, they want them to mortgage their children's life and the generations that are yet unborn. Let me make it known. In 1979, that was the very first time I casted my first vote in a general election. And in that election, as an Aoist, there was no money that was given to anybody by the UPN platform, Unity Party of Nigeria, led by the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. All what we had was 4 cardinal programs to be implemented by the Unity Party of Nigeria, 1979. We never campaigned. We voted based on our conscience without any monetary or financial inducement. In my ward in Surulere at the time, I voted. Nobody was waiting around the polling booth to see whether the election results will be counted. But we got results under FEDECO. Federal Electoral Commission under the chairmanship of late Chikel Ani. You see, I'm telling you these stories because they were news of yesterday's, but now, today, they're history. No violence, no thugs, very peaceful. You see, this day and age, where you will appreciate paradigm shift. The very first case that came into my hand was the case of a transformer and electricity supply in Ota in Ogun State, Nigeria. In that particular part of Ota in Ogun State, which I know very well, because I've got few people who built their own houses. They lack electricity. And do you know why they lack electricity? They lack electricity because there was no transformer. To distribute electricity to that particular axis. This is hot. So the residents of the area then contributed money. I am talking about something that was between October, November, December 2023 last year. They contributed money to buy a particular transformer that will supply to their area. So all the landlords contributed money. When they contributed money, NEPA officials actually advised them on the type of transformer that will power the entire area. So they contributed money. The Residents Association of that particular area then chose people that will actually represent them to make sure that the transformer was bought and then successfully installed and then secured. Guess what happened? The people they selected to represent them at NEPA, when they got to NEPA, rather than spend money on the transformer that the NEPA officials recommended for them, I'm talking about huge money here, millions, for a transformer that happens to be the duty of the power generation company to supply free of charge. So the representatives, when they got to NEPA office, they then bought a low quality transformer that was beyond standard that the NEPA officials recommended. Guess what happened? The remaining money, because they spent less rather than spent, you see, NEPA gave them a price. So rather than go to NEPA office and then deposit the entire money for a better transformer that will power electricity supply in their area, they went for a fake inferior transformer. Of course they paid, so NEPA supplied them and installed. Guess what? Within a week, the fake inferior transformer got busted, got destroyed. So the residents of the area then went to the NEPA office to say, this transformer, we paid so amount of money for this transformer, and this transformer is gone bad, but you assured us that at least the transformer will serve us 10 years. That was when NEPA officials then told the people that actually went directly to the NEPA office in Otta to now say, oh, this was the transformer that your people bought. Oh, they never bought the original we recommended. That was how Kata burst. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Let's go on another interlude. I love this, my Ekiti State interlude, but let me see if I can bring in Akure Loye Mekun into here. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I'm looking for it. You will be here with me for some time. Let me see. Yes, I found it. Now let's listen to this Akure Oloyemekun tune.
Ìlú Ajapada, Àkúrẹ́ rolóyè mẹ́kún. Ìlú Aṣọ́dẹ̀kúyédé, ìlú tó ń ṣọ́ fún wàrà àti fún oyin. Ìlú tó kún fún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àlùmọ́nì. Àkúrẹ́ ìlú olókìkí. Ìlú Ajapada, Àkúrẹ́ rolóyè mẹ́kún. Ìlú Aṣọ́dẹ̀kúyédé, ìlú tó ń ṣọ́ fún wàrà àti fún oyin. Ìlú tó kún fún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àlùmọ́nì. money. Àkúrẹ́ ìlú olókìkí. Ìtàn ìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ Yorùbá ló fi yé wa pé ọmọ Odùduwà ni wá o. Ìtàn ìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ Ìràkúrẹ́ ló fi yé wa pé ọmọ Odùduwà ló fàdé jí wá l'Àkúrẹ́. Ọmọ wa ọ̀tọ̀kùn ló fàdé jí fún wa o. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi ká má purọ́ ká mú tẹ̀gbọ́n kúrò. Àkúrẹ́ kò ní mọ́ra.
Oh yes.
Ó ní láì sọ̀rọ̀ jù Àkúrẹ́ fẹ́ràn àlejò tó ní lẹ́tà lẹ́jọ́. Àkúrẹ́ ń bá ṣe ìlọsíwájú ló jẹ́ wọ́n lógún. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún. Inú mi dùn bá mi nílẹ̀ yìí o.
Oh yes.
Níbi ká gbàgbẹ́.
Inú tèmi dùn o. Inú tèmi dùn pọ́ máa Àkúrẹ́ olóyè mẹ́kùn ní mí o.
Níbi ká wọṣọ ìbílẹ̀. Àkúrẹ́ ń ṣe bẹ́bẹ́. Níbi ètò ọrọ̀ ajé. Àkúrẹ́ ọ̀fẹ́ yìí. Ọ̀gá l'Àkúrẹ́ jẹ́ níbi ètò ẹ̀kọ́ o. Ọmọwé ń bẹ nílẹ̀ yìí o mo wí. Ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n ń bẹ nílẹ̀ wa o wọ́n wà o. Oníṣòwò ń bẹ l'Àkúrẹ́. Wọ́n bẹ́sẹ̀ wọ́n kọjá burata. Àwọn ọlọ́pọlọ pípé onímọ̀ràn tata tó ṣiṣẹ́ ajé tí wọ́n ṣòwò tán kiri. Èèyàn gidi ń bẹ nílẹ̀ yìí o mo wí. Èèyàn pàtàkì ń bẹ l'Àkúrẹ́ o wọ́n wà o. Àkúrẹ́ ríra wọn lóde. Wọ́n ríra wọn nídàlẹ̀. Wọ́n dàbí ọmọ ìyá. Wọ́n kóra wọn ra, wọ́n fìfẹ́ bára wọn lò.
Èèyàn gidi ń bẹ o. Èèyàn pàtàkì ń bẹ la. Oh yes.
Ọmọ Àkúrẹ́ nílé láti lọ́tẹ̀ òkun. Ọmọ Àkúrẹ́ nílé láti lọ́tẹ̀ òkun. Ẹ jẹ́ ká nífẹ̀ẹ́ yàrá wa.
Ìfẹ́, love, ìfẹ́, love, 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 ìfẹ́. Oh yes. Let me come back now. Ìfẹ́, love. Where is your love? Do you think that if those people in Ota, if they love them, they will cheat on their fellow landlords? To cut the long story short, bí àwọn ará NEPA bí wọ́n ṣe gbé ọ̀rọ̀ kalẹ̀ nìyẹn pé fake transformer ni wọ́n sanwó the cost rẹ̀. Àwọn ará Ọ̀tà tí wọ́n dá owó jọ that contributed the money for original transformer then approached their representatives, and up till now they demanded for the remains of their money. They are unable to retrieve the money. So within a particular sector of a community, the people, the landlords, were even cheating themselves. That is the terrible state of a decapitated, malfunction society called Nigeria. The government cannot provide its own social responsibility to its own citizens. What a shame. The second one. This one also came into my possession of the APC people in Rivers State. Without disrespect to the APC, I was told by someone in Lagos that the APC gave palliatives to the people of Rivers State. The palliatives that was meant to be given out to the Rivers State APC people, not PDP. This is within the APC. Rather than give people the portion of what the APC government designated in bags, the people were given in cups that perhaps will not be able to feed a whole family. So what then happened was that the remaining part of the proceeds of the palliative ended up in the market. I got this from Lagos. And when this ended up being sold in the market, some APC people in Rivers State made so money out of it. This is terrible. Terrible. So these were the two stories I want to use before we go into paradigm shift. These two stories that I've just buttressed out to you. Now, you guys can now begin to see where things are beginning to go down. And for some time to come, this will continue to go down. It is not well with Nigeria. To you. And don't let us lapse. It's not going to go down. If people can begin to treat their own fellow human beings this way, do they really know the repercussion or the spiritual implications of what they are doing? I'm not sure they know. But the worst part of it is that many of these people that you see, they call themselves Christians. That is exactly what baffles me as a person. It is very, very difficult for me to stomach. We speak truth to powers, and I don't care what anybody else is going to say. That is the truth. That's the gospel truth. I'm not going to deviate from the truth, because when I go down in my grave, nobody is going to find me down. I will be alone with my maker. I will be alone with Tetragrammaton Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts. You won't come down there with me. Let me show you this picture. In fact, before I do that, I can see there are so many of you. Shade Okwade, Anibolaji, Daranijo Juwon, Alaji, Osholade, Alakufo, Baba Badon, Okikiola Ade, Abu Numan, the season. Olaso Komilawal, I can spot you. Patricia Don Pedro, I can spot you. Good evening. Alaja Lola, good evening. If this is your first time joining us on the stream, please don't forget to share the stream. Some people are craving for this delightful information that will empower them and at the same time nourish them. Information is very powerful. Very powerful. Okay. I want to show you this. Look at this. Can you see this in front of your screen? I'm pretty sure you can see that. Now, this woman that you're looking on your right in front of your screen, she is an ordinary Swedish citizen waiting for her train to return her home after work. This woman, waiting patiently at the platform on a train station in Sweden, in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, to return her home. She bought a burger for her dinner, and in this picture, she was asked politely to pose for a photography. Her name is Elva Johansson. Elva Johansson is her name. Her job, she's the Minister of Labor in Sweden. This woman has no fleet of cars or police escort. Make no mistakes. Sweden is a very, very rich, developed Scandinavian country. Elva Johansson does not have any helpers either. That tells us Swedish politicians demonstrate discipline in the use of public funds and taxpayers' money. But when you look at it, countries that are extremely rich and their politicians don't go about in public or police escort, fleet of cars or police escorts. They use public funds and taxpayers' money wisely. This is contrary to the hopeless and ruthless politicians in many black African nations. Classic example. Example. You can clearly see that, can't you? Now, compare what ordinary people in Otta contributed and then nominated their own representatives to represent them at NEPA office to go and pay for a particular transformer. But they still duped their own people. Imagine the APC in Rivers State are even doing to their own caucus, to their own people, not the Rivers State people, APC. This information came from Lagos within the APC caucus. This shows how brutal and how ruthless the black race can be. I've just showed you that one. Let's carry on. Let's go on into paradigm shift. And in paradigm shift, I'm going to open up your eyes. Okay? In paradigm shift, you will see a very small picture of me downstairs there. Yeah, you can clearly see that. But I'm going to take my picture off now. Now, we want to go into Nigeria, a case study using the cone paradigm shift, and then you will begin to appreciate how you got to where you are right now. Now, in this current paradigm cycle, I used this happens to be some of my lecture notes that I've made up from communications science, but it is still very relevant because these were modules from communications studies. Okay, first, when we say paradigm shift, what do we mean by paradigm shift? Paradigm shift, I'll probably say is, let me explain it in a layman terms for you. Paradigm shift is a major change or the shift in how people think and get things done that upends and replaces a prior paradigm. Did you get that? It is a major change in how people think and get things done. Just take note of that. How were you affected by paradigm shift? Paradigm shift has got four main components: normal science, model shift and model crisis, model revolution, and then it goes back into cycle. Can you see that? From paradigm shift, they will shift everything in your brain into what they want you to believe, whether it is political, ideology, studies, and then from there, from that shift, from either political science or normal science or sociological science or sociology, there's going to be a model drift completely from the normal way you normally does things, and from there you have model crisis, you have crisis, and from those crises you have revolution, and then it goes back again into paradigm shift, and then a new cycle. Will begin. Oh yes, new cycle will begin when your entire brain has been shifted. You remember the 369 cycle. This particular one. Remember that. 369. 3 completed cycles of 60 years of misery in location 9. 369. It's the same way. That this works. It's the same way. But not a handful of you are not conscious of it. That's why I'm using this as a case study. Hence, hashtag Nigeria case study. Let me bring in the next slide for you. Now, I want you to look at this. You see, I'm still on the same module. You can see 1, 2, 3. 1. You can see normal Nigerian society between the 50s and the 60s. Normal Nigerian society from the 50s and the 60s. Now, from the 60s, they shifted everything about you through model drift. When you were shifted through the system of model drift, that landed you guys in number 2, model crisis. What happened during model crisis? The civil war broke out in Nigeria. You will get to see this as we progress in this lecture. Model crisis broke out in the 60s. So that led to model revolution. The model revolution then left into a paradigm shift, which is number 3. Now, the paradigm shift, number 3, then created a reorganization of the Nigerian political activities. So that took us back into normal Nigerian societies. But then, from the 70s, and then another cycle then began. And who are those responsible for all these atrocities? Of course, you can see all their pictures in there. Right all the way from Tafawa Balewa to the incumbent Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In fact, we don't even know who is going to come up in 2027. Okay. Many of you, based on that you are looking in front of your screen, here you are, 1959. That's a classic example of the paradigm shift we're talking about, that I am talking about, because not many people have eyes. The world is run in symbols and in code. I've highlighted this time after time, and I'm not really going to go into much details on that symbols that you are looking in front of your screen. But hey, look at this paradigm shift. Now, this is now telling you, when you look in the middle, paradigm shift. Something that challenges, disrupts, and innovates, leading to major changes. That is paradigm shift. And on the left, you can clearly see a man and a woman. On the left, you can clearly see that the normal way of doing things, normal understanding and doing things in a certain way, you can see the man and the woman walking on the street, and the man was busy reading behind the woman. The woman carrying her bag in front of her man. Those days, that was the normal way of doing things. Now, in paradigm shift, because paradigm shift challenges and it disrupts and innovates, leading to major challenges, that then created new, normal, transformed, understanding ways of doing things. This time, you can clearly see the woman carrying a rucksack on her back, the man now carrying a briefcase, and in the front, new ways. Paradigm shift. Take this paradigm shift back to where we're coming from as Nigerians. Take this back. Here, you can clearly see the shift in the model. Can't you see? You can clearly see that. How exactly have I applied? Now, how do you think I've applied this model, Kuhn's model of paradigm cycle, to our case in Nigeria? I'll tell you. Wait for it. Now, look at this. Very simple. I came up with this so that some of you can still come to terms with what is paradigm shift. Paradigm shift refers to a fundamental change in prevailing viewpoints and practices across social, scientific, technological, economic, and cultural domains. Do you now understand? Now, on the left, when you look at the overview, then I clearly stated that a paradigm shift involves a complete transformation in the underlying assumptions, theories, and methodologies that guide a field of knowledge or work. Paradigm shifts challenge existing frameworks and establish new ways of thinking and approaching problems. Let me stop there. Paradigm shifts challenge existing frameworks and establish new ways. Now, take your mind back as far as 1979, when Obasanjo was military junta. Don't you think Obasanjo, when he was a military junta, challenged the existing framework and then established his own new ways of thinking and approaching problems? Don't you think so? I'm going to show you proof. Now, when you establish a new way of thinking and you challenge the already existing structure, this often leads to significant breakthroughs, advancement, and disruption within the field. So Obasanjo challenged, in a nutshell, Obasanjo challenged the already existing framework and then destroyed everything within his own power. And I said on the right, examples: geocentrism and heliocentrism. The shift from the belief that the earth was the center of the universe, that the political structure, let's put it this way, the political structure in Nigeria is at the center of government, to the belief that the president or the head of state is the ultimate. Since 1979. Obasanjo, may God forgive Olusegun Obasanjo, he knew the person that won 1979 general elections, but deprived that man. Komaroki nínú ọkàn, nínú àyà Olusegun Obasanjo. I know he hasn't got a heart. Now you can begin to see. But the problems of your paradigm shift can be tailored back to the regional formation of Nigeria from 1954 to 1966. Ew. And I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to prove it. You see, you will never see people an environment that is so intellectual, and many of these just that have prepared, that you guys are looking nice, crisp, clear in front of your screen. They've taken me days to prepare. See, this is the problem you lot have, and black race will continue to perish because of lack of knowledge. Some of them don't even know exactly what is going to happen to them tomorrow, but those that have ears, they know, and they will be prepared for it. Now, how does it work? Let me take you back. You see, this was this was dated back years before 1960, but I'm going to show you something. You can clearly see northern region, western region, and eastern region. 3 regions. Three distinctive regions. Western and Eastern region used to be the Southern Protectorate before Lord Lugard amalgamated the Southern Protectorate with the Northern Protectorate in the 1914 amalgamation that created a fraudulent Nigeria for administrative purpose. Let me bring in the next one. Now, this was the regions of Nigeria between 1954 and 1966 and their premiers. Remember paradigm shift, because the whole of this broadcast is based on paradigm shift. Now, you can clearly see the same map: western region, eastern region, northern region. 1954 to 1966 and their premiers. Between the years 1954 and 1959, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo Awo. Let me bring my pictures in. Awo was the premier of Western Nigeria between 1954 and 1959. Chief S.L. Akintola took over the mantle of leadership from 1959 to 1962. Dr. Majakodumi then became an appointed administrator between 1962 and 1963. Chief Akintola then became the Prime Minister, the Premier of Western Region again in 1963 to 1966. I want you to look at those dates. I'm going to take the camera off. Now, the Eastern Region, between 1951 and 1953, Eyo Ita was the Premier of Eastern Region. Azikiwe then took over in 1954 to 1959 as Premier of Eastern Region. Dr. Michael Okpara then took over as Premier of Eastern Region from 1959 to 1966. Now, when you go further north, Sir Amadou Bello, Premier of the Northern Region, was Premier from 1954 to 1966 uninterrupted. But in the meantime, we had him, Tafawa Balewa, as Prime Minister from 1960 to 1966. Does this make any sense to you? Am I making any sense at all? Look at that. Look at those dates. Now, why don't you ask yourselves one question? Why have they got stability right up there in the north? Why is there stability in the northern region there? Why? Did we had turbulence in Western region? Why was there turbulence in the Western region? To the extent that many of you don't even know what Operation Wettier is all about. To the extent that that man, the Prime Minister, this man, declared a state of emergency in Western Nigeria. Let me take the camera off. Eastern region, Eyo Ita, Calabar man, Azikiwe, Igbo man, Michael Okpara, Igbo man, Now, ask yourselves, what really led to the fracas in the Western region? To the extent that Chief Dr. Majekodunmi was then appointed as administrator of the Western region by the Tafawa Balewa led government as prime minister. You see, the answer is very simple. Both Ahmadu Bello and Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe, they've always poked their nose in the affairs of the Western region. Did you get that? Both Ahmadu Bello, Premier of the Northern region, you see, he was uninterrupted from 1954 to 1966. Until he was killed by Nzegu in 1966. We're coming there. Now, why don't you ask yourselves what really led? In fact, don't let me go into that yet. Now, let me take it this way. The same map of Western region you are looking at in front of you, the three regions from 1954 to 1966. Now, the Western region at the time, okay, because Nigeria was made up of three geopolitical zones: Western region, Eastern region, and Northern region. Western region, Western, I repeat, that you are looking in front of your screen. Let me bring my camera in. The Western region geopolitical zone was made up of Delta State, Edo State, Ekiti State, Kwara State, Lagos State, Ogun State, Ondo State, Osun State, and Oyo State. Western region. And out of all the states that made up the Western region, Oyo State those days was the largest state by area in the southwest, because Oyo State, I'm telling you authoritatively that Oyo State covers an area of about 28.454 square kilometers. 28,454 square kilometers. Just Oyo State, just one state, one zone within Western region. But despite the fact that Oyo State covered 28,454 square kilometers. Lagos State happened to be the most populated area with over 20 million people residing within it. Lagos. And I'm going to tell you something about Lagos again. You see, because the seat of power was in Lagos, Western region, the territory of the Western region extended as far as Jibo in Lagos. Did you hear that? Jibo in Yaba, Lagos. Western Nigeria extended up to that portion by the bridge where we used to have Phase 2 nightclub, and the junction of Herbert Macaulay, and where ITT headquarters used to be those days. All those portion were Western Nigeria. The moment you cross that border line and enter Yaba, you are in the Federal Capital Territory of Lagos. So the whole of Surulere, Lagos Island, Victoria Island, Ikoyi, they were all Federal Capital Territory. When you are coming down from the island and the mainland and you enter Jibo again, those days, there used to be a big sign that will say to you, "Welcome to Western region." I'm telling you. So Western region, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo knew that the East and the North, they want to channel all their energies to fight him in the West. Make no mistakes. But the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo resisted every possible attempts by all the lunatics, either Zik, Tafawa Balewa, or Amadou Bello. Now, let me take the camera off. It is very intensive today. Prince Kennison, thank you. Elijah Lola, Prince Kennison, you said best teacher of 2023. I don't know about that. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just doing my own thing. Darani Jojuwon, nice to see you. Happy New Year. You say yes, so Phase 2 Club. You used to hang out there. Make no mistakes, I rocked the night. When you talk about rocking the nights, I really had a good time. Now, let's go a little bit further. We now know exactly Western region, okay? And you can clearly see right in front of your screen the premiers from the Eastern region. But why don't you ask yourselves, why was Azikiwe, particularly after the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo? I would have thought that Azikiwe should have worked very well, even though the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo suggested to Nnamdi Azikiwe to form an alliance, for the action group to form an alliance with the NCNC, so that they can conquer the north. But guess what? Azikiwe's record were not very clean. Azikiwe was involved in fraudulent activities, especially fraudulent activities with the African Continental Bank, ACB, that the British institution at the time were about to expose him out. So the British institution were the people that gave Azikiwe to go and line up with Sadaruna so that they can conquer the Western region. Otherwise, they will expose Azikiwe's nyash. The British promised him they will expose Azikiwe's balls to the public. What happened to your Ita? Why was there friction in Western Nigeria whilst Sir Ahmadu Bello held on to the north through his feudal regime of ruling? No other premier challenged Ahmadu Bello in the north from 1954 right up to 1966, when he was murdered by Nzegu. Now, Ahmadu Bello in the north originally, let me bring in the camera so that you guys can see my face once again. Yeah, you see, Ahmadu Bello in the north originally embraced the indirect rule system of colonial Nigeria. He never accepted reforms because to the northerners, first they think about Islam. They think about Islam. They will first stop you. I hope what you are bringing to me is not going to obstruct my faith in Islam. So before Sadaruna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello embraced the colonial reforms of indirect rule, during his period as premiership, he gave certain conditions as a progressive conservative. Yes, I won't doubt the fact that Ahmadu Bello wasn't a conservative North. He was very conservative, yes, just like myself as a conservative Yoruba man. He was prepared for the change. But guess what happened? In the North, they had different system of government. They had, you see, the Western region and the Eastern region had legislative arm of government. But in the North, they had House of Chiefs and then the lower chambers. Did you get that? House of Chiefs. So that tells you that each and every region were autonomous. And as at that time, the North will bring their taxes to the center of government. The Northern region bring their own taxes to the center of government. Western region will bring their own taxes to the center of government, and Eastern region will do the same. But when you look at the books, the only region that was bringing in more tax into the federating account was the Western Union. Sadaruna, like any other northerner, never believed in one Nigeria. But the British establishment encouraged Sir Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the northern region, to look further south into the Atlantic, that the Atlantic is the power of the Southwest. Ew. The Southwest has always been a tough area that both the East and the North are very jealous of. Make no mistakes. Awolowo knew this long time, and Awolowo resisted every efforts and all attempts by both the Eastern region and Northern region to come dominate the Western region. Ọmọ àlè Yorùbá ló máa nọwọ́ òsì tó máa fi júwe ilé bàbá ẹ̀. Awólọ́wọ̀ kì í ṣọmọ àlè, ọmọ ọkọ Yorùbá ni. Now, look at all the wahala and all the atrocities both the North and the East, in collaboration with the British establishment, caused in Western region. Not easy. Not very easy. It's going to get a lot more worse. You see, later on, you know what happened? Because Nnamdi Azikiwe and Ahmadu Bello, in conjunction with Tafawa Balewa, because they had already disorientated the western region, guess what they did? With Nnamdi Azikiwe and the north, they then carved out of the western region the Midwest. In order to finish the western region, they carved out. Zik was part and parcel of this. So these were the regions of Nigeria between 1963 and 1967. Because of Nnamdi Azikiwe's hatred, I repeat, Nnamdi Azikiwe's hatred for the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Azikiwe teamed up from the east with the northern region, and they then carved out Midwest. And as such, the only region in Nigeria that was carved out with a referendum, and if they want to back out of Nigeria today, they have the right, is the Midwest. The Midwest was formed in June 1963. From the provinces of the western region. So when it was formed, the Midwest, the capital then became Benin City. Midwest. Remember, I told you Midwest was formed through a referendum that was conducted in 1963. I'm not going to go into all those details of the referendum because that is a long process. But the jealousy that the western region was thriving and progressing gave Nnamdi Azikiwe a shock in his own shock absorber to now demand that they should divide the western region and break it up into two. Hence, Midwestern region then came into being. But Eastern region remained intact. But they've broken up Western region and they've carved Midwest out of Western region. Awolowo never bothered. Awolowo never bothered. He carried on his own mission for Western region. He went about his own political businesses and, making sure that at least Yoruba sons and daughters can compete effectively in education, in medicine, in engineering, in law, in science across the whole world. In fact, the reasons why the rest of the world were looking at Nigeria as a first world in about 10-15 years time was because of Awolowo's vision as a leader, a visionary leader who really cared for his own people. The rest are shithole. Zik, shithole. Okpara, shithole. They're all shithole. They were all full of envy and jealousy. I'm waiting for some people to take me to court actually in the UK and then prove me wrong. If you can, please try. I'm looking for some people that will take me to court. I've never been to court and I want to go to court. I want to prove my case to the world. You see, Zik, Okpara, jealous. Hear what this man had to say. The same former premier of Eastern region. Hear what he said. Dr. Michael Okpara, he said, and I shall regret to my dying day having taken part to advise Zik not to form alliance with Chief Awolowo. That was published in the New Nation, 8 November 1980. Dr. Michael Okpara. Alas, it is too late. Just like all those hopeless, ridiculous politicians of today, such as Dino Melaye, Bello Metawale, and all of them that continue to loot and loot and loot. Diziani Alison Madueke, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, many of them in Buhari's government. Shadia Farouk, can you imagine? People who stole and looted. Dr. Michael Okpara in the New Nation, 8 November 1980 said, and I shall regret. He's dead now. He's probably roasting in hell. Probably roasting in hell. There are sometimes you don't even wish some people they should rest in peace. Such individuals will never rest in peace. And I shall regret to my dying day having taken part to advise Zik not to form alliance with Awolowo. That was in 1963. It is not funny. He said, my greatest political blunder. That was his greatest political blunder. And do you really think God will forgive Dr. Michael Okpara for making such greatest political blunder in his life? He can never be forgiven. He can never be forgiven. I want some of you to please come and challenge me and take me to court, or your children. See, again, look at him, the same paper. I believe the Republic of Nigeria failed because of a number of factors. Firstly, the Republic violated the most basic structure of federalism. No one state should be larger than the rest of the states combined. In other words, no state should be larger than the rest of the country. This, according to him, was violated from the beginning, and every effort made to safeguard it failed. All of you are failures. Dr. Michael Okpara, it is my prayers that you should roast in hell. The same thing that happened to a handful of you that made a country that should have been great under God. You are one of the people, one of the contributors. Roast in hell. RIH. Dr. Michael Okpara. I want your family to come and challenge me to a UK court, because I'm showing proofs here. The British institution are not our problems in Nigeria. You at the root cause of your own problem. Now, look at this. If the Prime Minister of the UK, David Cameron, May 2017 can say if the total amount of money stolen from Nigeria in the last 30 years was stolen from the United Kingdom, the UK would cease to exist. David Cameron was right. David Cameron, now our foreign secretary. I love him to bits and pieces, because I tell you something about this man. This man promised heaven and earth. David Cameron, before he became prime minister. And I tell you something, the moment David Cameron became the prime minister, a baby that was inside the womb of the mother, the day he became prime minister, was already feeling his policies. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine babies inside their mother's womb, the day he became prime minister, and he stood right in front of number 10 Downing Street, made a statement to the nation, the United Kingdom. Right from that moment, from that speech, babies inside their mother that were unborn, they were already feeling his policies. God bless. Well, as at that time, the Queen was reigning. May the soul of our precious Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, rest in peace. The Queen, because the Queen was reigning. Look at British Prime Minister. Have you ever seen any of your Tamporo Bashege Mutubu Banzani politicians telling you the truth? Whole British Prime Minister, May 2017, telling the whole world that if the total amount of money stolen from from Nigeria in the last 30 years was stolen from the United Kingdom, the UK will cease to exist, and Nigeria is still existing. And you all think I'm stupid? You think I'm stupid? I ain't stupid. I ain't stupid. I'm not stupid. My head is not screwed up. No, my head is not screwed up. And my head is not bent. My head is straight. And I can reason things to the best of my living without any advisor. And I can see things from here. I can see far more than any normal human being can see. It's hot, oh. It is very hot. Very hot. And it's not going to be very easy. And I'm not going to take it easy with a lot of people. Because truth has to be told. The time currently in London is 1957 today, Thursday, the 4th day of January 2024. I'm yours actually, your host, Frank Bello, live streaming. You know, based on the lectures I've given you guys, about in ethnic and look at this. You up that from here. From here. You see, when Midwest was carved out, when Midwest was then carved out, what happened? Do you know what happened? You don't know what happened? Because many of you failed to check everything. Then came the 1966 coup. 1966 coup. Nzegu's coup. after Nzegu's coup. Nzegu's coup then claimed the lives of Chief S.L. Akitola, claimed the life of Amadou Bello, claimed the life of Tafawa Balewa. Northern region, Western region were the casualty of the 1966 Nzegu coup. Eastern region were all spared. None of their leaders died. So North and West paid the greatest price. What then happened after that? What happened after that? Here it is. Gowon was then sworn in as head of state. So between 1967 and 1976, 1967, Yakubu Gowon then broke up all the 3 regions into 12 states. Lagos retained its position. Western state, Midwest was broken down into Bendel state. We had Rivers state, East Central state for the Igbo people, Cross River state for the Calabar. Cross River used to be part of the East. So Gowon broke everything down and then gave the Igbo people East Central State. Then created Benue Plateau State. Created Kwara State. Northwestern State. Kaduna State. Kano State. And Northeastern State. Gowon broke these 3 regions broke the 4 regions. Broke the 4 regions that you're looking at from 1963 to 1967. Into this 1967 to 1976. That man, Jack Yakubu Gowon, he's an old man now. He's an old man. Broke everything down. Nigeria into pieces. That's why I said your problem started from his era. The bane of the problem of Nigeria. Now, begin to think about this. Normal Nigerian society based on where we started, model drift, model crisis, model revolution, paradigm shift, reorganization of the Nigerian political activities. Then back, everything is in circle. From this same cycle, that I illustrated to you here, from the Kuhn's paradigm cycle, from paradigm shift to normal science, modal shift and modal crisis, modal revolution, and then back to paradigm shift. So also the same thing is repeated by go on here. Still not getting it because a handful of you are not intellectually minded. And when you see, I should be talking to somebody. Suggested to me that I should go and lecture on the rest of it, but you see, you all are not looking at this from the intellectual point of view, but I'm looking at it from that point. But because I'm looking at it from that point, that's why I am even crying out to all this Tamboroba, Shege, Mutumu Banzani to take me to court in the United Kingdom. But they are all scared. I don't know why they are afraid. I don't know why. I keep presenting them with facts. Why can't they dispute it? But they cannot. That means all your leaders are shithole, like Donald Trump said. I'm still looking for one that will prove me otherwise. .369. See? 369. All of us, we will end up this way. We come with nothing and we will surely return back with nothing. Be assured. You and I, we will end up this way one day. And for me to end up this way, one day that my body will be wrapped in a sack and then subsequently end up in a casket like this, about to be lowered to Mother Earth. That is why I fear God Almighty, the Mighty One, because there's nothing that is permanent. Everything that goes up must come down. It is the law of gravity. Make no mistakes. Nothing lasts forever. Like it or not, one day you and I, we will be like this. That is the end. There is a time to be born, there is a time to grow, and there is a time to die. I don't care about when I was born. I've grown. What matters right now to me is the end. Because I know I am going to end up in that casket one day. And you too will. All of us will, like it or not. You see, you are not aware that the angel of death is roaming about in the nasty piece of contraption called Nigeria. Location 9, decoded by me, is walking about. Satan is all over Nigeria. In fact, Nigeria is satanic home. The home of Satan. Please don't like me. And that's why many of you are scared to share my stream. A prophet is never respected in his own yard. Don't respect me. And I don't want you to respect me. What bothers me is my end. My end is what bothers me. Because you won't be there with me when I answered the final call of nature. If I sleep today, if I wake up tomorrow, it is by His grace, the grace of Tetragrammaton Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, the I am that I am, the mighty one. It is not by the power of any man. I can sleep overnight and drift away, and that umbilical cord between my soul and my body cuts off. That means I'm gone. I'm conscious of that aspect of my spiritual being. For your information, the angel of death. For your information, you, all of you, resident in Nigeria, make no mistake, the angel of death is roaming everywhere. Some of your pastors that have eyes, they can see it. It's roaming. And the angel of death is ready to consume. Oh dear God. I felt offended when I see this kind of things. That 63 years after independence, last year December, (2023), all these heads put together cannot buy a chicken. All these heads, think about it. All these heads put together within the Nigerian currency cannot buy you a chicken. Is that not sad? Is that not sad? That's why I'm sick about that nation called Nigeria, and there's nothing to be proud of it. The only thing that kept Nigerians going on is the pride inside each and every one of us. The pride, the education, our culture from the different parts of the southern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria doesn't have anything to do. Listen, make no mistakes. Northern Nigeria doesn't have anything to do with the pride of Nigeria outside Nigeria. It's only southern Nigeria. To make Nigeria proud outside Nigeria is the combination of Yoruba, Igbo people. Yes, I'll speak the truth. Yoruba people, Igbo people, Bari people, Efik people, Calabar people, Akwa Ibom people, Ijaw people. Ask Northern Nigeria in terms of publicity. What have they produced to the world to showcase to the rest of the world? Nothing. The only thing the Northern Nigeria can showcase to the whole world is Boko Haram. Western education is sin, and you've got hopeless and ridiculous Gumi talking to you to negotiate with bandits and Fulani herdsmen. Tamboroba Shege Mutumubanzani. Gumi, the Southwest is not going to negotiate. The Southeast is not going to negotiate. It's a matter of time. Let me tell you, Gumi, your nasty piece of contraption called Nigeria is currently sitting on a timed bomb. I've been saying this a long time. It's a matter of time. It will explode. And when it explodes, it's going to be lethal. The whole world knows. Pray. Gumi, pray. Pray. Go to Mecca. Just go to Mecca. Go and pray and say to Allah for things you never expected not to happen. No, it's going to shele. Gumi, if you think you can talk, there is a Yoruba man somewhere outside that can talk to. You are not the only one that can. Gumi, you are a tat. You are a stupid tat. Wallahi. Stop that nonsense. If you know you are for peace, come for peace. Let's talk. If you know you are not for peace, then if you want it the violent way, God help you. Gumi, I'm only a very proud conservative Yoruba man. That's it. Stop. Yoruba people are very silent, and we can be so silent, and when we're silent, we're very lethal, very, very dangerous. Maybe you have not learned from your forefathers. Go and look. If they are in the grave, exhume their grave and talk to their spirit, they will tell you that the Yorubas are lethal. Abba, ìwọ dẹ̀ fẹ́ ìwọ gúnmi yẹn níbẹ̀ yẹn, ìwọ fẹ́ máa dẹ́rù bà ọmọ káàárọ̀ oòjíire wípé ìwọ kìnnìkan ká máa ṣe kìnnìkan ẹ lè dẹ́rù bà Bọ́lá Tinubu o. Ẹ lè dẹ́rù bà. Let me tell you, if you think because Bola Tinubu is at the end of affairs and you can talk any nonsense, I never supported Bola Tinubu, but let me tell you, I love my race. He's there. Don't torment him. Don't torment Bola Tinubu. In the year 2000, when your puppet Obasanjo was tormenting him, when Obasanjo, your puppet in the north, was tormenting him, I stood by him. Go and ask Benga Ashafa. I was the only one that made sure he was never dethroned. Through my publication at the time, Rumors, I'm saying it, and I've got pictures and I've got evidence. That's why I said, I mentioned, go and ask Benga Ashafa. Benga Ashafa was in charge of lands at the time at Alausa when Bola Tinubu was governor of Lagos in 2000. I fought your puppet at the time, Obasanjo, to the last. To the last. To leave Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I never supported him in 2023. But he's got there through God's making. And if you think you, the North, you will be coming to make shakara oloje, gbogbo yín lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan ẹ kàn máa forí la kú ni, ẹ máa kú lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Mi ò support ẹ o. Don't get me wrong. I never supported him. I never supported Peter Obi. Never supported Bola Tinubu. Never supported Atiku. I was more of Yoruba nation fanatic. But now that he is there, any nonsense, so if you try any nonsense, let me tell you, gbogbo yín ẹ máa kú ní ẹyọ kọ̀ọ̀kan ni o, ẹ kàn máa kú lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan ni, kò sí aláya tírà tó bá wà lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ máa kú náà ni. Màá yán kí gbogbo yín jẹ lóòyẹ, èmi máa ń jẹ̀yàn lóòyẹ ni. Mi tiẹ̀ ní dáná sun ẹ́, tútù ni máa jẹ ẹran ẹ, spiritually tútù. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. I eat people raw. Look at my face. Look at my face very well. I eat people raw. If you think you can, oh yeah, gbeko mi, màá wá sọ bí ṣe jẹ́, màá wá sọ fún ẹ. Ẹ̀rù ò dẹ̀ bà mí because kí ni nǹkan tó máa gbẹ̀yìn? Ikú náà ni. Ikú ni. Àtiwọ́ o, àtẹ̀mí o, a máa kú gbẹ̀yìn náà ni. But kí n tó kú, màá make sure pé oh Jesus Christ, ètí máa ya jẹ ló pọ̀ jù lóye raw. And I'm not boasting. That's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. That's the truth. That's the gospel truth. Because that is the language Nigeria understands. Listen, guys. Now, Franklin, you said let me show you a comment. It's very useful. Try. Yeah, Happy New Year, Franklin. You see, as part of what I have been talking about, I have been saying, I want you to watch very closely, very, very closely. Let me bring in this video. Let me bring in this video for it. It is coming on your screen. It is loading. Yeah, I'm going to do this live stream. Now, exactly what Sir Amadou Bello said about the should I bring that one first in or what? Or no, I'm not in first. Let me bring in Southwest. No. Should I bring that in? No, I'm not going to bring that one too in. I'm confused. Let me bring this in. Watch this. Watch this. It is loading. Let me bring it in. Here we are. (1975) military coup broken down.
Fellow Nigerians, events of the past few years have indicated that despite our great human and material resources, the government has not been able to fulfill the legitimate expectations of our people.
49 years ago.
Nigeria has been left to drift.
49 years ago, the government were not able to fulfill the expectations of their own people
inevitably
by Murtala Muhammad.
bloodshed. In the endeavor to build a strong, united imperial nation, Nigerians have shed much blood. The thought of further bloodshed, for whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to the people. The armed forces, having examined the situation, came to the conclusion that certain inevitable. After the Civil War, the affairs of state hitherto a collective responsibility characterized by a lack of consultation, indiscipline, and even
1975 military coup broken Nigeria. Look at Buhari. Look at Obasanjo with all their secret files read. Hashtag Nigeria 2024. Remember? Oh, yes.
There was a bloodless coup today in Nigeria, which is Black Africa's biggest and richest nation and the world's 8th largest oil producer. The overthrow of strongman Major General Yakubu Gowon reportedly was engineered by the head of his personal bodyguards. Gowon received word of the coup while at a meeting of the Organization of African Unity in Uganda. He would say only, "There's nothing to worry about." Gowon, who led a 1966 military coup and put down the bloody Biafran civil war 6 years ago, had been confronted by growing student and labor unrest and charges of... Last October, he went back on a pledge to restore civilian rule in Nigeria.
I, Brigadier Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma, being appointed a member of the Supreme...
You can clearly see Danjuma and Idiago behind him, standing next to him.
The council, in the said council, and committed to my secrecy. So help me God.
I, Captain Olufemi Olumide, being appointed a member of the Supreme Military Council, swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal such matters as shall be debated in the said council and committed to my secrecy. So help me God.
Once.
Okay, go.
Fellow Nigerians,
Fellow Nigerians,
events of the past few years have indicated that despite our great human and material resources, government has
yeah, we're going to come back to it. Okay, it seems to be strange, and what I'm going to do right now is to actually this back. Okay, there seems to be a connection problem, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to actually now the whole broadcast for you in okay, now we shouldn't have any disruption this time. Here we are.
Events of the past few years have indicated that despite our great human and material resources, the government has not been able to fulfill the legitimate expectations of our people. Nigeria has been left to drift. This situation, if not arrested, would inevitably have resulted in chaos and even bloodshed. In the endeavor to build a strong, united, and virile nation, Nigerians have shed much blood. The thought of further bloodshed, for whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people. The armed forces, having examined the situation, came to the conclusion that certain changes were inevitable. After the Civil War, hitherto a collective responsibility became characterized by a lack of consultation, indecision, indiscipline, and even
49 years, 1975.
There was a bloodless coup today in Nigeria, which is Black Africa's biggest and richest nation and the world's 8th largest oil producer. The overthrow of strongman Major General Yakubu Gowon reportedly was engineered by the head of his personal bodyguards. Gowon received word of the coup while at a meeting of the Organization of African Unity in Uganda. He would say only, "There's nothing to worry about." Gowon, who led a 1966 military coup and put down the bloody Biafran civil war 6 years ago, had been confronted by growing student and labor unrest and charges of government corruption. Last October, he went back on a pledge to restore civilian rule in Nigeria next year.
I, Brigadier Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma, being appointed a member of the Supreme Military Council, swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal such matters as shall be debated in the council, in the said council.
They are all in the same game.
Secrecy. So help me God.
I, Captain Olufemi Olumide, being appointed a member of the Supreme Military Council, swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal such matters as shall be debated in the said council and committed to my secrecy. So help me God.
Once.
Fellow Nigerians, events
See,
of the
Danjuma,
past few
Bisala,
weeks
Mohammed,
indicated
OBJ.
that despite our great human and material resources, the government has not been able to fulfill the legitimate expectations of our people. Nigeria has been left to drift. This situation, if not arrested, would inevitably have resulted in chaos and even bloodshed. In the endeavor to build a strong, united, and virile
49 years ago,
much blood.
1975.
The thought of further bloodshed, for whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people.
Wow. Which way, Nigeria? 49.
In 1972, I took them together, the show, and they gave.
Gowon was in Kampala here when his government was toppled and he was informed. So he had no option but to leave immediately because there's a new sitting president, head of state in Nigeria. Now he went straight to the chairman of the OAU at the time to inform him that his government has been toppled.
Do you have any comment from him, sir? We heard that there had been a coup overthrown. Have you heard this? I've seen the various Reuters reports. Yes. Look, I've got no comments to make at this stage. Okay. You are going to continue attending this meeting. All right, you can go ahead if you want. You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
See, having a one-to-one conversation with Idi Amin Dada of Uganda. Hashtag Nigeria. Can you now begin to patch together the paradigm shift that I have been talking about? The paradigm shift. Right all the way from the moment they started shifting your ways of doing things to the way they want you to conform, it is still on. If it is not on, watch this next video clip and then we bring the stream to an end. for today, at least for today. And then we will carry on from where we stopped. Now, this one is Southwest are bigots. And based on previously watched, I want you to watch what this Igbo man said in Lagos. Or should I actually bring it in let me see if I can bring it in here so that you guys can actually see it, and I can comment on it. Out west are bigots. Are we really bigots? Are we bigots? Are the Yorubas bigots? Watch this.
Why are we not having in Nigeria? It was that's a good question. Let me just react to that, brief. From records, from reliable source, it is believed that Nigeria have over or close to civil society.
Guys, I'm going to bring this in from the proper studio because it's not giving me exactly the results that I wanted. I think I've put it in here for you.
Why are we not having protests? Yes, it was that's a good question. Let me just react to that, briefly. From records, from reliable source, it is believed that Nigeria have over or close to 4,000 civil society organizations in Nigeria. And most civil society organizations in Nigeria are being headed by people of Southwest Nigeria. Yoruba, that's something confirmed. Yeah, it's not because it's not they are the ones. If it is another tribe, we would have seen mobilization going on. Nobody's talking now. Things are going skyrocketing. The prices of food are. More error again. Nobody's eating meat. And nobody is asking questions. No protest, nothing. It seems that Nigeria has accepted their fate. I don't know how to justify that. Why are we not seeing civil society organizations on the streets now? Why are people not protesting? That is why I said maybe, possibly, the civil society organization in Nigeria are being headed by Yorubas, and that is why we are not seeing any protests so far. That's my explanation. They are being headed by Yorubas. That's why we are not seeing any protests. Yes, that it is real reason. Look at the people that did subsidy. Then Jonathan. Under Jonathan. God, actually, Yorubas spearheaded it. Tinubu sponsored it. Buhari of them came. They sponsored these things against Tinubu, Jonathan that time. Now, with this kind of wickedness, with this kind of economy, with this kind of pure water.
Okay, wait. These were part and parcel of what I have been saying. Now, how on earth would you expect this type of a gullible individual to understand in this day and age that there are certain scientific approach that's been adopted that he's not particularly aware of, that the political class are using as weapon to demoralize them, such as ideological subversion. And that, you see, I've played ideological subversion for many of you in the past. You see, this start, I won't take him serious, because if this kind of human being can understand the way a society is run, he won't be talking this way. The problem of Nigeria never started from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It never started. The problem of Nigeria started from way back, as I outlined to you, that Gowon, General Yakubu Gowon, should be held responsible from 1966 of Nigeria to date. Why? Now the question is what? The question many people are not asking General Gowon was, why did you dismantle the 4 regions of Nigeria and replace them with 12 states? You see, I have a problem with this caliber of people, because if they understand the way things work, he won't be talking this way. The problem of Nigeria never started from Bola Tinubu, who inherited a problem way back from 1966 to date, that Nigeria is still paying a bigger chunk of its price for. Now, let's carry on.
I think I was sharing this testimony somewhere that used pure water. They were always, the father was always sending the boy to go and buy pure water. On Christmas Day, they now asked the boy, "What is this pure water for?" He said that my daddy sent me. We are hungry. That my daddy can only afford pure water. When we are hungry, he said we should go and buy pure water. A lot of business has gone down. Because if it's a safe country,
a lot of business has gone down. Let us ask this useless man saying a lot of business has gone down. Maybe he's a pastor somewhere, and his bigger pastor are one of the pastors closing down factories and places that should have been providing jobs for people. And your pastors will continue to tell you to pray for a miracle and that God will intercede. I don't believe that God will intercede in an idle hand or somebody who continue to pray and pray and pray for your own turn, for miracle. If you don't work hard, you can't get any miracle. The only miracle to your success is work hard. Go to the farm, plant. If you can't go to the farm, use your hand. If it is soap making, if it is sewing clothes, if it is anything, you will have one hidden talent in you that God Almighty will then bless you and bless the works of your hand. You see, there's no other miracle in this world that works for man other than hard work. Because for God to create everything in 7 days, God himself worked extremely hard in conjunction with all the angelic beings. You see, you are mistaken, mister. You are mistaken. Let's listen.
Now, I do know a bag of rice 60, 70, 80,000. A bag of rice. What is the CBN governor doing? Why is it that Nigerians are not marching on the streets now? You see why people like us are always suspect how we play. You see why we are saying that there's no unity in Nigeria. You see why people are saying Nigeria should disintegrate. The Yorubas and the Hausas has ruined Nigeria.
Oh!
They are the one running the leadership of this country. But look at where they have brought us.
He said the Yorubas and the Hausas, they've ruined this country, Nigeria. Now, take your mind back to where I came from. That was why I left this at a dying moment so that you can decipher. Who ruined Nigeria? The Yorubas never ruined Nigeria. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Michael Okpara ruined Nigeria in the eastern region. They did. And because they ruined eastern region, when the 1966 coup led by Nzegu came in, then followed by Agu Nronsi's coup, that finished the whole lot. And that was when the northern extraction officers from the Nigerian armed forces struck. The Yorubas never ruined Nigeria. The East ruined Nigeria. Let's carry on.
And when you talk about say no, this is not correct. So the Yoruba activists, they have gone on the ground now because the Yoruba man is the president. Why are we not seeing Yoruba activists on the street now? No, why are we not seeing them on the street? Are they not aware that the fare has been increased? There's no accountability. We don't know what is happening with the CBN. We don't know why the banks are not functioning. We don't know.
Oh, you don't know what is happening to the CBN. You don't really know what is happening to the CBN. Okay. This guy doesn't know what is happening to the CBN. Maybe I need to remind him that Emefiele. Maybe I need to remind him that Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor, spent 58.6 billion naira. Did you get that? Emefiele spent 58.6 billion naira to print 2.5 billion naira of Nigerian currency in 2020. So we had a difference of 56.1 billion naira. So where is the 56.1 billion naira? You printed, you spent 58.6 billion naira to print 2.5 billion naira in 2020. What the heck is this guy talking about? Is he normal? Where is he? Let's carry on.
Are clean for POS, point of service transaction. POS has suddenly become bank in Nigeria. I bet take. That's unfortunate.
Let's talk about the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas, said that equal leaders should
bring grievances that are legitimate. Talking about Southeast development and also the release of.
You see, guys, I am going to actually post that online. I'm not going to play, so I'm going to post the remaining part of that online because I have been on for almost I don't really want to waste a lot of people's time. Stream. I know few are called, but majority are called, but few are chosen. Narada, you said Yorubas, Hausas. You said Yorubas, Igbos, and Hausas all immensely contributed to ruining Nigeria. That's a fact. I'm not going to dispute. Everyone. I'm not going to spare anyone. It is a very, very sad story. Very, very sad. But you've just seen it. 70 years of ruthless and hopeless decapitation. In conclusion, I will conclude today that Gowon should be held Because a proverb in Yoruba land says, Ẹṣin tíwájú ni tẹ̀yìn wò sáré. The horse at the back race against the horse at the front. And on this note, ladies and gentlemen, go into the next day, which will be the 5th day of January 2024, Friday perhaps. I've been live for 3 hours, 16 minutes 46 seconds. Now I can see the time on my studio. Guys, let's bring tonight's show to an end. Please, if this is your first time joining us on the live stream, share it. The page from wherever you're watching it, and then subscribe on our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, share the stream. Somewhere, sometime, somewhere, some people will be dying for this information. It is educative. I hope to see you at some point in time later on. Yeah, and until that time, I wish you love. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me and the NuMedia team on Facebook and YouTube and Twitters. This night, we're gonna crack it again. It is the only platform that we're not scared of anyone in power. We say it as it is. Until that time, take extra care of yourselves, and I will surely see you. God bless you. Good night.